Immaculate means perfectly clean.
When a man has an emission of semen, he shall bathe his whole body in water and remain unclean until evening.
To indulge in the fruit of sexuality means to spill the sexual energy, to orgasm, to taste the divine energy that illuminates the soul, in order to feel physical sensation. Thus, the energy used to maintain the physical and spiritual vitality of the individual is expelled through the orgasm. Adam and Eve, as a symbol of men and women of the ancient past, ate of the forbidden fruit of the tree of knowledge, or the secret knowledge of sexuality. They abused the sexual energy in their own bodies by having the orgasm, and therefore they broke the most fundamental rule they had been given. It is very important that the tremendous energy that gives mankind the ability to create be used efficiently, because it is connected to the same energetic force that sustains the individual's own vitality. It is well known that the sexual energy is intimately related to the health of our psyche and our physical bodies. Not only is it necessary for sustaining physical vitality, and thus the 5 physical senses, but also the vitality of the 7 superior senses that unites mankind to the divine. Without the sexual energy, the soul atrophies, breaking our connection with God. When we expel the sexual energy, we expel the energy that fuels our inner senses. This is why those who fornicate, who expel the sexual energy through the orgasm, cannot perceive God directly. The orgasm is symbolized in the poisoned apple given to Snow White. While sweet to the taste of the physical senses, it is poison to the soul. Eating it results in unconsciousness and an eternity of sleep. The universal story of maidens and virtuous heroes falling asleep is an allegory illustrating the sleep of the consciousness, the state in which the human being loses the direct personal knowledge of God and the higher realms of nature. This is why the fruit of the tree of knowledge was forbidden to eat. Before the abuse of the tree of knowledge, sex was treated with the utmost respect, and the orgasm was unknown to mankind and unnecessary. Husband joined wife in the sexual act according to the laws given to them by Jehovah Elohim. They enjoyed the tree of knowledge, sexuality, but did not eat of its fruit. This was the genesis of the distinction between good and evil. A humanity that knew only goodness ate of the forbidden fruit and discovered animal desire, which always leads to suffering and pain. This is the Pandora's box or vase of Greek mythology, which when opened, releases the agents of evil into the world. Fear, pride, shame.
And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. And Adam said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself.
Through the discovery of the orgasm, Adam learned to be afraid, to be ashamed. As promised by the tempting serpent, humanity gained new knowledge, the knowledge of suffering. In tasting the forbidden fruit, Adam learned desire. From this moment, right and wrong is filtered subjectively through the need to feel pleasure and avoid suffering.
And Jehovah Elohim said, Behold, the man has become as one of us, to know good and evil.
Humanity had already known good, innocence, purity, and simplicity. Now humanity also knew evil, shame, fear, pain, emptiness. Now humanity knew what the Elohim knew, that desire leads to suffering.
Desire caused all the gods to fall from their places, and it is desire that leads all creatures to hell.
Desire is craving, and craving is suffering. Desire always leads to suffering. This is the message that is inherent in every great religion. The slave of desire is a slave of sin, and only suffering and death await him.
Through the abandonment of desire, the deathless state is realized.
Thus, stripped of their connection to the divine, Adam and Eve, as symbols of humanity, were cast out of Eden to wander in a wilderness of suffering and ignorance.
And to the woman he said, I will make most severe your pains in childbirth. In pain shall you bear children.
Rejecting the laws of Jehovah and the guidance of the Elohim, humanity attempted to have children on its own. And in the end, conception and childbirth happened out of balance with nature. And the result was pain and hardship. By using the sexual force to stimulate desire, the fire of Eve became inverted, flowing in the opposite direction. The serpent fell, forming the famous tail of Satan, stimulating the 7 inverted virtues, the 7 capital sins. Eden exists within every soul that is united with God. Expelling the light of God from within expels the soul from Eden and creates a great emptiness. To replace the void created by this disconnection with God, mankind created civilizations, ideas, and religions, seeking material wealth, power, and sexual satisfaction. Desire for sensation became the new god and only served to further degenerate mankind until man was left with only a trace of the divine inside. The secret knowledge contained in the story of Adam and Eve can be found hidden in mythological and religious stories from around the world. In story after story are found the enlightened or empowered heroes brought to ruin by their lust. In the Judeo-Christian tradition, long hair was the symbol of sexual purity or chastity. Thus, when Delilah cuts the hair of Samson, this is a symbol of lustful seduction. Samson lost his power when he could not control his sexual desire. In the epic Indian classic, the Mahabharata, the immortal Pandu is warned never to release the sexual energy. But when tempted by a beautiful woman, he proves incapable of controlling his lust, and he throws away his immortality and dies. By expelling the sexual energy, humanity lost their inner senses and were no longer able to perceive God directly. Thus, when humanity willingly expelled the subtle energies that supported a direct relationship with God, it was simultaneously cast out of Eden, the paradise of the fourth dimension. And mankind descended into the wilderness, the physical world, this third dimension, the world of suffering.
He drove the man out and stationed east of the Garden of Eden the cherubim and the fiery ever-turning sword to guard the way to the tree of life.